Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining. We just wait for another few people to come through, I think, and then we'll get started. Welcome, welcome, everybody. All right, I think we can get started. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. I'm Dan from South Australia Tourism. I know I can see a few names out there that I know already. I hope you're all doing well. If you haven't seen or met me before, nice to meet you for the first time. I'm here today to talk to you about one of the most special places on earth, South Australia. And to do that, we're going to do it in 10 minutes. South Australia's top 10 in 10 minutes. And we're going to do some Q&A at the end. So without further ado, I'm going to get started. And then we can go from here. So before we get into the top 10, I want to talk about getting to South Australia. Now, most of you will know where this is already, but if you don't, look at the map on the right-hand side, and you've got all of this. Well, you've got the state marked out there. So right in the middle of the country, in the bottom half of the middle section, we border all the other mainland states in Australia, as well as the Northern Territory. So we're right central to everything, meaning that it's really easy to include us as part of a multi-stop journey through Australia. So whether you're coming from the east, the west, the north, or the south, including Adelaide and South Australia, Adelaide is, of course, our capital, is really, really easy to do. So the flight times are there from all the other hubs around Australia. Then we also have direct routes into Adelaide from Europe. Traveling from Europe, you have one-stop options through the Middle East and Southeast Asia. So easy to get down to us. And then because we're right in the middle of the country, you can easily include us as part of a self-drive itinerary or rail journeys as well. So lots of ways to get to Adelaide and South Australia. Now, Adelaide is our capital, as I mentioned. It's central to everything that we do in terms of tourism. So it's right in the middle there of the southeastern portion of the state. So as you can see from this map, it's really easy to get from Adelaide out to our other regions. So we've seen how easy it is to get to Adelaide from internationally or from other parts of Australia. This is how easy it is to get out to our other regions. So you've got Kangaroo Island to the south, the Eyre Peninsula to the west, the Flinders Ranges and Outback to the north, and then surrounding Adelaide, you've got loads of stunning wine regions as well. So what I would suggest is if you don't know South Australia well, or if you don't know Australia too well, I'm going to show you a link at the end where you can really dive deep onto these regions and you can see just what makes them so special. But without further ado, I think we should start our top 10. And without a doubt, I think there's only one place to start, and that is Adelaide. That is our number one, and that is our capital, our beautiful boutique capital. Really well known for its food and wine. It's a great small bar and restaurant scene, and the art scene in Adelaide is really great as well. And this picture here in the middle really does summarize that quite well. This is at this Adelaide Central Markets, which is a great place to go and pick up your gourmet food and enjoy some of the street art as well. And around the city, you've got street art lined laneways and arcades, as well as great small bars and restaurants. A whole CBD is surrounded by parklands as well, so it's very green. But yeah, there's so much happening right in the CBD. And then either side of the city, you have great beaches. So the west coast, you have 30 kilometers of continuously linked beaches, just a 20-minute drive from the CBD. And then 20 minutes the other way, you have beautiful Adelaide Hills. Green, sprawling hills, great for wine. It's a wine region all to itself, the Adelaide Hills, but also the wildlife, as you can see, and just a great place to go out for a day trip or stay overnight to get away from the smaller capital feel that Adelaide has. Even though it's a small city, it still does have a little bit of a buzz to it. So if you want to get out into nature, you've got the beaches to one side, you've got the hills to the other. There's so much to see and do. And this is a map of the city itself. As I mentioned, the CBD is surrounded by parklands. 20 minutes drive one way, you'll reach the beach. 20 minutes the other way, you'll reach the Adelaide Hills. Absolutely stunning. And in the middle, there's just this melting pot of fantastic food and wine, arts and culture, and events and festivals. As you can see from the map there, the airport is only 15 minutes from the CBD as well. So it's so close, really easy to get around. And you can see from this image why they call Adelaide the 20-minute city. All right, let's get back into this top 10. So number 2 is wildlife. Wildlife is a true reason why people travel to Australia, and South Australia in particular is really, really well known for seeing wildlife in the wild. So as you can see, you can go swimming with sea lions. You can go, that can be done over on the Eyre Peninsula, so 50-minute flight from Adelaide, as you saw from the map earlier. You've also got Kangaroo Island, which is Australia's wildlife haven, just a 30-minute flight from Adelaide, and really is the place to go to see wildlife in the wild, in their natural habitat where it should be done, because that's where the magic happens. And as I mentioned, Kangaroo Island is a really, really good destination for wildlife, and that would be the number one. You can also see it out in the Adelaide Hills, up in the outback region of the Flinders Ranges, or out in the Eyre Peninsula as well, swimming with the sea life. Number three, wine. We do wine very, very well in South Australia. You can't really mention Adelaide without talking about wine. We have over 200 cellar doors within a 1-hour drive of the city. So really, really, you are spoilt for choice, whether you're out on a day trip with one of our many great tour guides, or staying in the wine regions themselves for an overnight winery stay. There's so many options, and getting out and seeing the unique experiences in the wine regions in South Australia is really what it's all about. We've got some of the biggest names in world wine, like Jacobs Creek and Penfolds and Wolf Blass. But then we also have so many great boutique wineries, family owned and operated. When you go and visit these ones, you can get in behind the scenes and see what it's like working and living on a winery, and see what it's all about. So check with your wholesalers and your inbounders as to what you can book in terms of day trips from Adelaide or overnight stays. You've got to do some wine when you come to South Australia. And when we talk about wine, you can't really mention it without talking about food. It goes well together, and the food in South Australia is epic. Wherever you're going, there is beautiful, fresh, seasonal produce, and really influential chefs and restaurants taking flavors from all over the world and indigenous flavors within South Australia, and really creating just a smorgasbord of diverse plates and menus. And you can find that in Adelaide and out in our regions as well. The dining is spectacular. Coastal and aquatic experiences. So we talked about swimming with sea life over on the Eyre Peninsula. You can walk along the beach with sea lions or swim with wild dolphins on Kangaroo Island as well. But as you can see from this image here, the waters, I mean, this is just one beach of hundreds of beaches around South Australia that have turquoise clear water and white sand. It really is, you're spoilt for choice. No matter where you are on the coast, there are so many stunning beaches, great seafood, and great sea life experience as well, whether it be whale watching, swimming with dolphins, or sea lions. There's so many options. And to the polar opposite, for going from the coast all the way up into the outback, that is a really key thing for us as well. We have so many great outback regions to visit, including the Flinders Ranges, which is on screen now. It's just a 4.5-hour drive from Adelaide. And it is truly unique and special, really old region. So you've got the landscapes to go with that. So you've got high peaks, low valleys, great wildlife, walking, four-wheel drive tours, and scenic flights. And number 7 on the list is colors. So as you can see from here, you've got the blues of the ocean, the reds of the outback. We've even got pink lakes in South Australia. You've got the greens of our wine regions. Really, the different diverse colors that you see is something really quite spectacular, whether you're out on a self-drive or a multi-day tour. There's just so much diversity to our state. We really do have everything that you know Australia to be good for. You can find it within South Australia, and the colors that are brought to life are just spectacular. Arts, culture, and events. I think I mentioned this on the Adelaide slide a little bit there. So we have great arts and culture within the city that goes along with our food scene as well. And then the events and festivals we have year round, particularly from February through to April time. So we have the Adelaide Fringe, Tasting Australia, a food festival, WOMAD, which is a music and dance festival. February through to April each year is a great time to be in the city, because festival season is alive and kicking, and the vibrancy of the city really comes alive. And then the friendly locals, that is number 9 on our list, and that is a really key one. No matter where you're going in South Australia, whether you're out on a tour with a tour guide, staying at a family-owned and operated property, or just meeting people on the side of the street or on the beach, you'll always get a friendly g'day and how you doing. And it really is what it's about. The Aussie lifestyle is so welcoming, and that's what you get in Adelaide and South Australia as well. And number 10 on our list of our top 10 is the ease of travel. So I showed you that map earlier of just how easy it is to get around South Australia. And I'm going to show you it again because that is what it's all about. We looked at how easy it is to get there, get to Adelaide, how easy it is to get around Adelaide, but then back to this map, getting out to our regions, no matter where you're going, whether it be wine regions, just an hour drive north, you've got the world famous Barossa Valley, 20 minutes east, you've got the Adelaide Hills, or 45 minutes south, you've got McLaren Vale. As I mentioned, if you want to swim with sea lions, you're just a 50-minute flight away from the Eyre Peninsula and Port Lincoln. Kangaroo Island, one of the best wildlife experiences you'll ever find in the world. It's just a half-an-hour flight from Adelaide, or you can do it by car and ferry in 2.5 hours. And then you've got the stunning outback wonderland of the Flinders Ranges, just a 4.5-hour drive north. One thing I also wanted to mention is the rail journeys that come through South Australia. So you've got the Indian Pacific, which travels from ocean to ocean, Indian to Pacific, from Perth to Sydney. That stops off in Adelaide. And then you've also got the Garn, which travels from Adelaide to Darwin, right up the centre of the country, taking in all of the outback towns and landscapes along the way. Adelaide is the only major city to be able to do both those key trains from. And we've got some other ones coming on board, like the Great Southern, which takes you up to Brisbane as well. That is a snapshot into South Australia. I hope you've learned a thing or two, but please, I open the floor up to questions. And if you've stopped by my booth throughout the week, you might have seen that we're running a competition to win a case of wine. If you ask me a question now, in the next couple of minutes, you'll also go in the draw to win a case of wine. So fire away, I'll try and answer as many of them as possible.
Fantastic. Thanks very much, Dan. We've had a couple of questions come in already. One is from Carol. She's asking, what is the best beach or area for scuba diving?
Great question. I think I was talking to Carol about this recently, actually. So anywhere around the coast, we've got really good options. Even from Adelaide, there's scuba diving. From Kangaroo Island, you can do diving and going out and seeing like really key and unique wildlife, unique sea life. But I reckon a really good unique one to check out is the limestone coast around Mount Gambier. You can go scuba diving in sinkholes, stunning clear water, and that's a great stop on your way to Melbourne, on the Adelaide to Melbourne self-drive as well. So check out Mount Gambier for diving also.
Great, thanks. Polly has said she loves South Australia. There's so much to see, and Kangaroo Island is unique. She highly recommends it. And Amanda is asking, how long would you suggest to stay in Kangaroo Island?
Good question. At least 2 to 3 days to see it all properly. It's quite big. It's Australia's 3rd largest island, so you want enough time to see it. It's 6 times the size of Singapore. So 2 to 3 days, and there's accommodation to suit all budgets and amazing tour guides as well.
Great. Elaine has asked, when can I come and visit?
Now, no, I wish. As soon as those borders open, get down and we'll welcome you with open arms.
We've also had a question from Nick about what accommodation is on Kangaroo Island.
Everything you can imagine, from luxury villas all the way down to backpacking and camping. There's everything you need for any budget. So check out with your wholesalers and your inbounders and product teams. They should be able to sort you out with a good spread of options.
Great. Greg is asking, what is your favourite day trip from Adelaide? And Brooke has asked, what's your favourite place to visit? So maybe you can combine the two there.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I think there's just so many, but a really good and unique one would be heading down to McLaren Vale, which is a wine region 45 minutes south. You can go see the Darrenberg Cube, which is just one of the most mind-blowing wineries you'll ever see in your life. It's essentially a 5-story high Rubik's Cube in the middle of a winery. So check that one out if you haven't seen it before, the Darrenberg Cube. Check out our trade website. You should be able to see it on there as well, which is on screen right now.
Great. We've got so many questions flooding in now, honestly. Add the wine. Here we go.
No worries. Sorry if I haven't answered any, but I'll still include you in that and head by the booth and ask again, and I can answer them in the booth the rest of the day or next week.
We've probably got time for one more. Wow. Okay. So how do I pick? What about how has Kangaroo Island recovered following the fires? Is it fully recovered? Oh no, we don't have time. I'm so sorry.
That's all right. Come to the booth and I'll answer it there. Thanks, Maddie. Yeah. Thanks, everyone.